What is up, guys? I'm your friendly neighborhood web war fanatic, and I got a really special guest today. We have Peter from Fantasy Flight Games. Hi, Peter.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, and before we begin, I really want to thank Peter for recommending my channel to Fantasy Flight Games for the Marvel Champions card reviews. It has been the biggest honor ever, and it's all thanks to you. So thank you so much, Peter.
Well, thank you for making such great content.
Thank you. So I kind of know of you as like the Fantasy Flight Games representative that's on Discord, and basically anytime there's like an uproar, like if our community thinks that Marvel Champions is ending, which happens actually quite often, you kind of like make your appearance on the Discord and you just kind of reassure us that everything is okay. What is your official role at Fantasy Flight Games? Is it like the Discord mediator?
It's actually as the marketing writer. So you know how whenever you go onto the FFG website and you see a bunch of articles on the homepage, including announcement articles for new hero packs and all that, I'm the one who writes them.
Gotcha.
So, in fact, if you scroll down to the bottom of the more recent ones, you can often see a little line that says written by Peter Schumacher. That's me.
Yes.
So, yeah, both the FFG website, the Star Wars Unlimited website, I'm the one who writes the majority of the articles on both. The only exceptions being the ones where it's like, oh, a designer insights article. Obviously, those are written by the designers. I'm not putting words in their mouth, but everything else, that's my role. That's what I do.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, the community loves seeing those articles. It's like one of the most hyped times for Marvel Champions players. I didn't know that you did articles for non-Marvel Champions games too.
Yeah, I do them for all of our games.
Oh, all the
So,
games.
which is it's a lot, but
Yeah.
it's my favorite part of the job is seeing people get excited about the stuff that I write. So,
Do you feel
I mean,
that?
they're getting excited about the stuff that I'm writing about. They're not getting excited for the article specifically, but I still get it vicariously.
No, I think people are pretty excited about like your articles specifically. Like I think that you have really fun ways of writing them. I actually saw recently that you said that some of your favorite articles were like the Deadpool hero pack and the Spider-Ham hero pack. Can you talk
Hmm.
a little bit about those hero packs and like why it was like fun writing those? I know those are two kind of what's the word, like polarizing heroes.
Well, it's mainly because the reason why they're polarizing is because they're so wacky. And so, and they're like out there and silly and have some fourth wall breaking elements. That to me just made them a lot more fun to write about because I could really lean into the puns and
Yeah.
the wordplay and the alliteration and the tone. And that to me is very freeing whenever I'm writing an article because I'm able to have a lot of fun with it. And so that's why I have fond memories of those. Plus, the Spider Ham one we announced on April Fool's Day by my suggestion.
Oh, I didn't know
And
that.
it was, which was great because then it got people speculating whether or not he was actually a real hero pack or not, which was hilarious
Yeah.
to watch that unfold in real time. Plus, with Spider Ham in particular, I'm biased because I'm also a Web Warrior fanatic, and so it was very exciting for me because both him and later Penny Parker in that same wave were both heroes I was super stoked for.
Yeah.
So it was a doubly exciting for me because both the fun factor and the Web Warrior side.
Yeah, that's awesome that you guys did it. I didn't know because I haven't started playing Marvel Champions back when Spider-Ham came out, but that's really funny that he came out on April Fool because I'm sure everyone was like, this is a joke. There's no way that they're bringing on
Mhm.
Spider-Ham. Like, what's going on? So that's really
The
funny.
timing just worked out too perfectly for us not to do it. Normally we announce on Thursdays, but April Fool's that year was a Friday. And so we
Oh,
we
that's
broke our
perfect.
usual mold because specifically, and it was right around the time we normally would have announced it. It was like, all right, let's do it on April Fool's,
Yeah,
just to get people guessing, and just because it's
that's
Spider-Ham,
crazy.
so it's too perfect.
Yeah. So on Discord, your avatar, it's a Spider-Man, Peter Parker. If you guys do
Hmm.
not know, I'll put it on the screen somewhere so you guys can see. That's Peter, guys. This is who we're talking to. And I've always assumed that because of that, you are a Web War fanatic as well. And you've just confirmed a little bit earlier that you are. Do you watch these Spider-Man like movies with like Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, to Tom Holland?
Yeah, the old Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies were actually my introduction to the character
Okay.
and what got me down the whole superhero thing in the first
Wow.
place, and are why I'm a Web Warrior and Spider-Man specifically fan to this day.
Yeah.
It's because that was my introduction to superheroes, was the original 2002 Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire, and the rest was just kind of history after that point. Like, I think the same year that I saw the movie the first time, my parents got me an anthology of the first 10 or so issues of the Amazing Spider-Man comics.
Nice.
And I can't even remember how many times I read that front to back, but that's what really solidified my love for the character. And it didn't hurt that he and I share the same first name, but
Oh yeah, Peter. I
yeah.
was thinking Toby for some reason.
No, not Toby. Yeah, Peter Parker.
Yeah.
That just got me down the whole road of being interested in superheroes and seeing, and then by that point, Spider-Man stuff was really starting to ramp up, and the other main Marvel staples were kind of in a nebulous state up until Iron Man came out in 2008.
Right.
But they were still there. They were still in games. They were still, showing up periodically. And I started noticing more up until the MCU happened with Iron Man.
Yeah.
And then that whole branch kind of expanded everything.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it sounds like kind of Tobey Maguire's like movies, like the Sam Raimi movies, kind of got you to work at Fantasy Flight Games too?
Sort of.
So, okay.
I was a Marvel fan before I worked for FFG, but FFG didn't have the Marvel license yet when I started working here.
Oh, right. Okay, so this must feel like a complete circle for you whenever they got the Marvel Champions game like announced and everything, right?
Oh, I was so excited when I found out they were working on that, and I actually signed up to be a playtester for it while I was working
Awesome.
for FFG.
Nice. Yeah, I don't know. So we have like a running gag on my channel where we're like Team Marvel because I found that a lot of Marvel Champions content creators actually prefer DC over Marvel, but they just play the game because they like the mechanics of it. But yeah, I am Team Marvel like all day. Are you also Team Marvel?
100%.
Yes, you have it confirmed right here, guys. Peter is Team Marvel.
Yeah, I didn't really have much experience or exposure to DC stuff from growing up. Like, I think I saw like a couple episodes of the, was it 90s or early 2000s Batman cartoon, the one with the really iconic opening. But I never saw enough of it to really get into it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think Marvel had Spider-Man, and Spider-Man was my hero. So
Yeah.
So it just kind of went hand in hand.
Yeah. So I'm doing a terrible job of hosting here, but you guys actually sent me some Silk like preview cards in the Silk Hero
Mm-hmm.
pack for like Web Warrior stuff. And I should have mentioned it at the beginning of this thing, but we will be I guess previewing them like in this video.
Yeah, we
Whenever
will.
we talk a little bit more about Web Warrior stuff. Actually, you know what? Okay, screw it. We're just gonna talk about it right now. I had some other
Sure.
questions. The first card that you brought over here is a Quick Quip. It's a 2-cost justice event, and the requirement is a mental resource when paying for it. So you have to have the smarts to have that quick wittedness, right? And it's also
Oh
my
yeah.
first time taking a look at the cards too, so I have no clue what it does right here.
Yeah.
Hero action: do 1 damage to a Web Warrior character you control, and then so like that's the cost, and there's a cost arrow. Place a total of 2 confused status cards on up to 2 enemies. Okay, that is pretty cool for justice. This reminds me of the Thwip Thwip card for the protection aspect.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely a similar vibe.
Yeah, yeah. So like you're confusing, and it makes sense. I think it's thematic as well. I love the art with Peter Parker and Doc Ock. Peter always makes fun of Doc Ock. He's got the hair, he's got like the whole thing going on. That's
Mm-hmm.
just easy target for Peter. Yeah, it's a really cool
Yeah,
card.
and the quips. I mean, and it's got the flavor text of "We got more tentacles than a sushi bar." Like, that's part of Spider-Man's whole identity, is always with the quips, always with the one-liners, and to the point where it actually aggravates his enemies a lot
Yeah,
because they always get so annoyed because he's constantly sassing them throughout the whole fight. Which I realize that it's kind of interesting how it took us this long to get something that represented that in this game.
yeah.
But now it's coming. It's coming with Silk, and there's definitely certain Web Warriors I feel like who would particularly enjoy having this card in their kit.
Yeah, I think I don't know how much the other Web Warriors do quips, but I know that Miles also does that quite a bit. He could be thematic with this card as well. But yeah, I could
On
see this being a lot of
Spider-Ham,
fun. Oh yeah, of course, Spider Ham.
Spider-Ham gets a tune counter and 2 confuse tokens out of it.
I didn't even think of that. That's crazy. Yeah, yeah, that has really good synergy with Spider Ham. Yeah. This might make Spider Ham Justice like a lot more fun than leadership because I know people like are obsessed with Spider Ham leadership because of clarity of purpose, but having a
Hmm.
way to like do one damage and here it has confused in his kits, adding all of that could be really cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Let's take a look at the next card here that you guys sent me, and that is the Spider Woman Jessica Drew Aggression Ally Web Warrior. And I just realized this right now. This is the first Aggression Web Warrior ally that we've ever gotten.
Hmm.
That's awesome. So it's a 3 cost ally, 1 thwart, 2 attack, 3 hit points. Has a shield trait as well. So there's some cool synergies with shield, and it makes sense in the shield wave. As a
Hmm.
response, after a web warrior ally, including this one, enters play, do 1 damage to enemy. Okay, that is a really cool effect. I really wow, that's insane. So when you play her, she does 1 damage automatically, and she can swing for 2. And then
Hmm.
it's just a constant barrage of like 1 damage if you can play more web warrior allies, and it's not an attack, so it bypass stun and stuff like that. That's really cool.
No limit. No limit as well. Like, and everybody knows how much the Web Warrior allies cycle through when you're
Yeah.
playing this game. So it works really well, especially if you just have the basic Web Warrior kit alongside her.
Yeah, that is really cool. And the art is really cool in here. The flavor text says everyone should see what's about to happen next. Okay. Okay, that's cool.
I was just gonna say I'm excited to see what kind of combos people come up with, probably you, and among others, with this card in particular, and the next one.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to. So like, there's only one aggression web warrior ally. So if you play an aggression, this is like the card to put in. But there's so many basic ones. So there's gonna have so much
Hmm.
synergy and ways to get them back out. That'd be really cool.
The basic Web Warriors all have those enters play or leaves play effects, which means that you're going to be playing them constantly, which combos really well with the
Yeah,
Spider Woman card that we just previewed.
yeah, and it fits really well with aggression too because it's dealing damage. Yeah, yeah. I'm a big fan of this card.
Hmm.
Okay, I think that just because of who he is, I think the last one is going to be the most hype for most people. So it's
Probably.
Spider-Man 2099, and I didn't realize this either. He's the first leadership web warrior card that we've gotten, and I really want to
Hmm.
see Silk in like an aggression or like the leadership aspect because we haven't gotten those for web warriors. But it's great that her pack actually comes with an aggression and a leadership a web warrior ally, so that's really cool. It's a 4 cost
Hmm.
ally, very expensive. 2 thwart, 2 attack, which is appropriate stats for that. He has the aerial trait printed on him. Okay, that's really cool. And the web warrior trait. As a response, after Spider-Man 2099 uses a basic power, return a web warrior ally in play to its owner's hand. Okay. Oh man. Okay, that is a really unique effect. I feel like that can be insanely powerful. Like I feel like there's really cool things that you can do with that, right?
I mean, remember what we just talked about? The enters play, leaves play effects that a lot of the basic Web Warrior package has.
Yeah.
Well, now Miguel lets you do all that, on command basically. And the nice thing is it's not a forced response. So if you want to keep one of them in play, you can.
Yeah. And he can return himself back to his hand too, like to heal himself up if you want to just recur him back, and then he can activate again, return someone else.
Hmm.
The biggest ally that I'm thinking with Miguel is the Auto Octavius basic ally, the 2 cost one, because his on
Hmm.
play, he can what he can like ready up a tech upgrade and then draw you a card, or ready up any upgrade. If it has a texture, he can draw you a card. So if you like
Hmm.
are playing some sort of multi-aspect hero and you have like Miguel and Jessica Drew in play, and you can recur that Spider-Man Auto Octavius one, that would be really powerful. Wow, I feel there's a lot of combos for him.
Yeah, I feel like at least with the heroes that are in the game, I feel like Adam Warlock is probably the only one who could have Miguel and the Jessica Drew ally at the same time. But even so, I kind of want to see somebody do it.
Yeah,
Just see if you can defeat the villain with only using only the damage dealt by that Jessica Drew ally.
yeah,
That'd be
yeah.
just like cycling Web Warriors in and out.
That'd be so cool. And yeah, yeah, that's a really, really cool combo. And I feel like it really works with leadership because it's like that recursion, before Web Warriors specifically. That's awesome. Wow, thank you so much for these cards. These are really cool cards. I love these cards a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah, and these are all three in the back of pack for the Silk Hero pack. So everything beyond the deck building divider card.
Yeah. Yeah, so these cards aren't in Silk's precon deck, but if you want to play in a non-protection aspect, which is a precon deck, then you can include these cards in there, which I feel like I definitely got it, right? Man, these two cards are really, really cool. I think my favorite one of the three is the Spider-Man 29 I-1.
I had a feeling.
Yeah, yeah, that is a really cool one.
He's pretty hype. But I'm very excited to see how people play with both of them.
Yeah.
And Quick Quip, because Quick Quip is it's iconic. It needs to be there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Another question that I wanted to ask you was, how involved are you in like actually making the cards? Because I know that you write all the articles for them. Did you have any say in like these three cards here? Like where you're like, hey, I think I kind of want a Spider-Man 29 ally. And, like it would be cool if you had like this recursion ability for all the web boards that entry play and lead play.
Yeah, I wish I had that kind of influence and say, but I do not. I am solely on the marketing team. There's the design team that handles all the creation of the actual game. By the time I see the files to write about them, all the designs are finalized.
Gotcha.
So, and have been for a long time. But back when I was part of the playtesting team, I could give input on certain things, one way or another. But I haven't been able to playtest for the game in a long time. So
Gotcha.
what little influence I had there is also no longer a thing, at least for now. If I get more time to playtest again, then maybe I will.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's tough to like write articles whenever like you kind of don't exactly know what the cards would be, or like, if you don't know their abilities and stuff like that, you just kind of have to read them and be like, okay, I got to make this article like make sense and all that. So I feel like that could be a tough job.
It can be at times. It helps that I have played the game a decent amount, so I at least know what the core, pardon the pun, aspects about the game are like, and what it is to play through a scenario. What ability is considered a good ability, what ability is an exciting ability to combo with another thing. And so I can take that experience and kind of apply it forward. So even if, for example, when we previewed Shuri or Silk, I haven't played either of those characters in the game, but I've played enough of the game to know what it would feel like to play those characters and how their things play off of each other. Part of it, and it helps that I can look at the files and actually see what all of their abilities are.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Gotcha. But I do have to do a bit of research before each article that I write and make sure that I'm getting everything right. And I do run it by the designers when I'm done writing it and be like, hey, does everything here make sense?
Yeah.
Or did I pull something out of my butt here? Like this is like, yeah, I've got to make sure that it all lines up properly.
Yeah, yeah. Like with the articles, like even like the Silk article, like the most recent one that we've seen so far. Like I feel like you need to know like stuff about the character's lore, like in the comics, and you also need to know like how to play Marvel Champions, right? It can't just be someone that's like, okay, like this is my job. You actually like know the game and like play the game because it ties into like how the character's mechanics work and all that stuff. So I feel like that's a really, I don't know, I feel like it's a tough job to do. So kudos.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's going to segue into one of my other questions is how often do you play Marvel Champions? Are you like a big Marvel Champions player? Is this your favorite game?
So I don't play it as often as I would like to, just because I'm busy. I used to play it a lot more back when I was playtesting for it. It is probably my favorite game by FFG right now. And it is a game that I still like to come back to. I only recently started playing, like actually custom building a deck instead of just doing the precons, because for the longest time I was just doing the pre-constructed stuff, just because I have very little experience with deck building, and so it was always a big intimidating thing for me. But then I don't remember whose it was, but I like looked up some deck building tips and tricks online. I searched on the Marvel CDB website for some ideas for decks for certain characters, specifically Spider-Ham and Rogue, because my wife asked me to build a deck for her as well.
Nice.
And I realized how fun it was trying, doing that and trying to make a custom version, because I went with Ham Pool because Ham with the pool aspect just seemed like too much fun. And I didn't want to do the clarity of purpose thing, mainly because I was building a leadership deck for Rogue for my wife, and I didn't want us to double up. So I'm like, you know what? Pool aspect seems like it'll fit Ham's vibe. So why don't we go with that? And it ended up being a ton of fun.
Nice.
And the funny thing is, I think you actually uploaded a handful deck to Marvel CDV, and I think yours was one of the ones I used as a reference for that.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I was gonna say ham is or pool is actually my favorite aspect for Spider Ham. I don't know if you did
Hmm.
this combo, but my favorite thing with that is the laser swords, because Spider Ham has a way to ready up with his organic webbing, like on-demand ready.
Hmm.
And if you play the Peter Parker basic ally, he has another ready like already there. So then if you give him the laser swords and you play like a live dangerously, who have like what's it, one, two, like six attack, he can swing for six, use a hammer, maybe swing for eight for that one, ready up, swing for six again, ready up with Peter Parker, swing for six again, like, and then that's just like tons of fun.
Yeah, I don't think I ran it with the laser swords, mostly just because I was trying to go for more of a little bit more of a supportive build for the deck because I mostly wanted to let my wife have a chance to shine and because I'm trying to convince her to play the game a little more often, so I
Nice.
wanted to make sure she had a really good experience with it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
that's one thing that I found with every husband that plays Marvel Champions when they play with their wife, very supportive role, and the wife loves doing damage, playing aggression usually. But I think leadership can also be very fun with being able to recur a lot of stuff and do damage too.
well, I mostly just wanted to fill her deck full of X-Men because the X-Men are her favorite
Oh, cool.
aspect of Marvel. And so I wanted to make sure she was able to see as many different characters as possible. So I mostly focused on fill it with X-Men and then resource generation so that she is the way to get them all out and play.
Yeah.
And she had a lot of fun with it.
Nice. So the strategy worked. Is she like obsessed with Marvel Champions now?
Obsessed is a strong word, but she's a lot more open to playing it again.
Nice, nice. Well, I want to ask you, are you more of a multiplayer player? Like, do you play true solo or do you usually play with a friend or your wife?
I've never actually played true solo.
Oh, what?
I've only ever played multiplayer, but my preferred I would say is two player because
Yeah,
to me that feels like the sweet spot where you get to enjoy it with somebody else and the game still doesn't take a long time to play because when you get to the 3 or 4 player mark, that's when the game's length can really kind of start to ramp up, not
yeah,
necessarily in a bad way, but
yeah.
it does make it a longer experience. 2 player stays short, but at the same time you can still enjoy it with like your wife or your friend or somebody that alongside you, which is my preferred way to play tabletop games. I usually prefer to play a game with somebody else because that's just my personal taste.
Yeah.
But I do want to try doing a true solo, largely inspired by videos like yours, where I see people playing it and it's like it seems like a puzzle, trying to figure out the best way to tackle this scenario when you can't rely on anybody else. And that does intrigue me enough where I want to give it a shot, though it probably won't ever be my preferred way to play.
Yeah, I definitely can respect that. I think multiplayer is more like a casual, fun type setting. And I think oftentimes true solo, just because the breathing room on the main scheme, not being able to flip down, is just more rigorous.
Hmm.
Yeah. For me personally, the thing that really drew me to Marvel Champions was, similar to you, I liked playing with people. A big game that I always play with, my wife and friends is Marvel Splendor. And I found that when I would like go to sleep and stuff, I'll be like thinking about like Marvel Splendor strategies. Like I was really obsessed about the game, but then like I couldn't really find a way to like vent my like my obsession. And Marvel Champions is awesome because I can still play casually with people that don't want to deck build and like don't want to do anything. But then whenever like, they go home, I can obsess and like build decks and like, just play
Hmm.
true solo too. So like that this is like the perfect game for me to do what I wanted, but also play with people and like get that kick. You mentioned something earlier about how you first started building decks. So welcome to World of Deck Building. I think deck building is tons of fun.
Hmm.
I actually saw the last Fantasy Flight games, like the live play, and I was really hyped because the new designers, I think Aaron and Frank, they brought like custom decks, and I think this was the first time that people brought custom decks. You guys normally bring the pre-con decks because you guys want to showcase, that hero pack.
Right.
So like that was really cool. I was like, wow, these guys are like they like went into because I feel like you have to kind of have that. I keep using the word obsession. My vocabulary is not very good, so that's kind of
It's
the only
okay.
word that I got here. But I feel like you kind of have to need like a level of obsession with the game to like want to build a deck and then want to play it, and then possibly have people judge you, watching you play that, online. So that was really cool that they actually built their own decks and brought that for that Fantasy Fight Games live play.
Yeah, and Frank and Aaron have a ton of experience. Obviously, so does Tony as well. Tony, I think, was one of the ones using one of the pre-con decks in that stream, if I remember correctly. But but yeah, Frank and Aaron have a lot of experience with card games in general. They've jumped between a few different game lines, within FFG, so they've got a wide breadth of experience to bring to the table. And I think people are going to enjoy what they have to offer for the game when that stuff comes down in the pipeline later.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. Can we expect to see the web war fanatic of the Fantasy Flight Games team make an appearance, test playing like Silk for us in a live play?
Oh, I don't know. I would be happy to if they would invite me, but I know that oftentimes they like to get the designers at the table for live play stuff like that, and there's only so many seats that they
Right,
can
right, yeah.
fill with that. And now that we've got 3 designers for the game, if they all 3 want to play, and then Xander hosting the live stream, usually that means there's not a seat for me at the table, which is totally fine. But if they were to invite me, then I would happily sit down and play a game on stream.
Yeah. Would you build your own deck too, a custom deck?
That depends on the context of the stream, because if we're previewing Silk, then we would be using
Ah,
her
fair, fair.
her precon, because for the same reason that you mentioned before, we want to show off the deck and what she has to offer, and that's kind of the whole part of the whole marketing shtick.
Yeah, gotcha.
But if we were doing like a challenge, like maybe if we ever did another round of weekly one shots, for example, and we wanted to do one on stream ourselves, then probably would build a deck, or probably would have to, depending on the challenge.
Yeah.
And in which case I can show off my mediocre deck building skills for everybody.
It's gonna be awesome. Web Warriors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was allowed, it would most definitely involve Web Warriors in some form.
Yeah. Speaking of weekly one-shot challenges, is there any chance for the weekly one-shot challenges coming back? Because that is like one of my favorite things that you guys have been doing in the past year. But I saw that like the one in December was like the final weekly one-shot challenge. Is there any news on that coming back?
I obviously can't give a definitive answer, but the response we got to the weekly one shots was very positive enough where I'd say it's at least possible that we do it again. As for when and what form it takes, I don't know yet, because that's stuff we have to talk about, figure out, and build a plan for. I would like to do it again because it was kind of my baby. I was the one who pitched the idea of the weekly one shots in the first place, and the response we got for it was very strong. So I would like to do it again, but it's not up to me specifically. It's up to the team, and that's something that, if it happens again, it'll be a bit before it happens again.
Gotcha. Yeah, the weekly one-shot challenges, they were tons of fun. I really like having like a dedicated, like, I don't know, because there's so many module sets, there's so many different things to do in the game that it's hard to like just like decide what to play every single week. But this really gave us like a designated, like, okay, this is like the official weekly one-shot challenge. Like, it's not like someone else's thing. It's like by Fantasy Flight Games. And I know a lot of people like talked about online, like at their local game store, each time they meet like once a week, they'll always just do whatever the official weekly one-shot challenge is, and it would just give them like a designated type of thing. And similar to you, the weekly one-shot challenges also have a really special place in my heart, because that's how you found my channel. So that is, yeah, I mean, I love the weekly one-shot challenges even more just because of that.
Yep. Yeah, that is literally why we're talking today, is because I was curious of whether or not anybody was making videos of doing the challenges. So I just did a quick YouTube search, and yours was the first channel to pop up. And I checked it out, and I was like, oh, this guy's done a video for every challenge so far. It's like, is he going to keep up with it? And then you did, and you every single week you did another video of trying the challenge, and it got to the point where I'm like, okay, I think we need to send this guy some spoilers, because he's doing a lot of work, and it's literally doing a video for every single challenge, and it's awesome.
Yeah. So you guys heard here. If you guys want card spoilers, do the weekly one shot. No, I'm just kidding. That's not. Yeah, I think I actually do have one for every single week. Some of them I never got a victory on though, so it's still like an L. But yeah, I definitely at least posted one. I know. So I have to go to work on Mondays at 12, and then the weekly one shot challenge I posted on Mondays, usually at like 10 a.m. So I'm like sitting like waiting for it to quickly get posted, so I can quickly get posted, so I can quickly like record the game and then post it before I go to work. Because if I am unable to get it, then like it won't get posted until like maybe the next day or like that night. So yeah, I'm like sitting there all day. I'm like, come on, post the game, and I'm very excited to play those in Monday mornings.
Which was your favorite challenge, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh man, put me on a spot. I don't even know. Um, let's let me think. I know like the very first one, the ground is lava. I really like
Hmm.
that concept. I don't know if it's my favorite, but I really like how when you flip down, you get to take damage. I like that one a lot. Like where you and you need to play like an aerial character. Um, I can't. No, no, no. I know the Super Rhino, the Rhino one where he was flying in the air, and you just imagine with
Hmm.
like all this suit stuff. I don't remember exactly. Did he also have the Infinity Gauntlet or no?
He had the Infinity Gauntlet, and then he had the telepathy, the super strength, and the flight modular sets. It was Breaking and Taken Ultimate Edition. I came
Yes.
up with that one.
Nice.
That
Yeah.
was one of the ones that I came up with. I was really proud of that one. It's like everybody likes playing Rhino. Everybody learns the game fighting Rhino. What if we just make the beefiest possible Rhino and see what it's like to fight him?
Yeah, that one because like in like the imagery of like imagine like this huge dude, rounds like beefy, like flying up in the air with the gauntlet, like because he's like a street level like type villain, you know what I mean? So just imagine with all the
Mm-hmm.
stuff, it just felt crazy. Like why is he psionic? Like why does he have all this stuff going on? Yeah, that was super duper fun. Yeah, that's definitely my favorite one. Do you have a favorite challenge?
Well, that one is one that I'm pretty fond of. I was also really fond of It's Not Easy Being Green, which was taking on the Green Goblin as a green character with the protection aspect.
Oh, I like that. Yeah,
Is
yeah, yeah,
because you had to be Hulk, She-Hulk, Drax, or Gamora.
yeah.
Any of the heroes with green skin.
That was fun. Yeah.
And yeah, that one I was pretty fond of just because I like silly thematic things like that. I also really liked Whose Show Is It Anyway, which was
Oh yeah, the Spider
the
Ham.
yeah, Spider Ham or Deadpool against Mojo, and you keep the show environments in play, and they don't cycle out, so that it eventually just starts stacking up a bunch of modifiers.
Yeah, yeah, those are really fun. Have you done those three challenges?
I haven't, unfortunately.
Okay, okay. Man, we're
Yeah,
kind of
but I want to at some point. At some point, I plan to go back and play through all the weekly one shots if I can. But yeah, no, I was unfortunately not able to play through those and try those challenges out myself before we posted them.
yeah, gotcha. Yeah, I think I remember seeing for the Rhino one whenever it got posted, people on like Facebook, they're like, "Man, Fantasy Flight Games woke up today and they like chose like fight or something like that." So
Yeah.
that's so funny. Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
really tough one. Yeah,
Yeah. Some of those challenges were challenging to say the least.
yeah.
But yeah, we made sure to run at least any of the ones that I came up with. I made sure to run by the designers, and then the designers came up with a bunch
Oh,
themselves
gotcha.
because we wanted to make sure everything was at least possible. But obviously, some of them were still, that they were definitely towing that line a bit on
Yeah,
whether
yeah,
or not
for
they were
sure.
actually possible.
I remember for a couple weeks, like I kept on saying, like in my like description of the video, I'll be like, "This is the toughest weekly one shot challenge like of yet." And the next week, I'll be like, "No, this is the toughest one." And
Nope,
next,
this
I'll be
one's the
like,
toughest.
"Yeah." I was like, "What's going on?" So I think there's like a 3 week stretch where I was like, "Holy cow! Like, what's going on? Is it just like not gonna be easy anymore? Like these are insanely difficult." But yeah, it was still very very fun.
Did you prefer the ones that were harder, or did you prefer the ones that had more like unique twists on the rules?
Ooh, I prefer the hard ones, but with like some more freedom. So like for
Mm-hmm.
example, the Rhino one, I think that one was very difficult, but you had the freedom to at least pick anyone that you wanted. So I played, classic Peter Parker, for like that, like the matter matchup. And then the ones that I felt like were difficult were like very restrictive. Like it would be like I found the green one not restrictive. Like you could play Hulk, you play like a couple heroes, but some of them, I think, oh, that like the Quicksilver one. That one was tough for me because you had to. I think you had to defeat Speed Demon, like this minion. You had to hit him 3 times, and also
Mm-hmm.
defeat the scenario. And then you had to play Quicksilver. And I'm not the biggest Quicksilver fan of in Marvel Champions, so I was like, oh man, I gotta play this hero. And then I did like a members poll thing, and they wanted me to face Ultron. So then like I was like, I had to either choose either like beat Speed Demon and win the challenge, and then lose to Ultron, or like forget about Speed Demon and then try to beat Ultron. So I just tried to defeat Speed or hit Speed Demon 3 times, like in the same turn. So I did that, and Ultron like destroyed me the next turn, and I was like, all right, well I lost the game, but I succeeded in the challenge.
But you
So
got the challenge.
yeah, yeah. So I guess for me, being able to pick, but at the same time, there's so many challenges. So I feel it's fun that sometimes you can pick the hero and the villain is designated. And sometimes you can pick the villain and like the hero is like a specific thing. So I feel like there's a good variety, and I think leaving the variety is good because there's gonna be a challenge for everybody. So my next question for you is, who is your favorite hero in Marvel Champions? This is actually I was planning on asking this before we went on the web war card. Sorry, this is my cat Sesame. She's like jumping on the table.
Hi, Sesame.
Say hi.
She's cute. My cat's out in the other room sleeping right now.
Oh, nice. You should wake her up. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, his name is Remy.
Remy, cute.
Yeah, he's a hoot.
Yeah, cats are very silly.
Favorite hero in the game. So I'm pretty fond, I mean, to no one's surprise, I am pretty fond of all things Spider-Man and all the Web Warriors. It's probably a tie between Spider-Ham and Penny Parker.
Okay.
Because for wildly different reasons. Spider-Ham because he's goofy, he's fun, and because he's a Web Warrior, and then Penny because she's got an extremely unique design that with the 3-card hand size and the building out the suit with the different interfaces and using them for resources or using them for boosts. And she's just I love her design, and I wish I've had more opportunities to play as her because I think that she's probably, in my opinion, the coolest design in the game, at least as of right now. And I'm really looking forward to trying out Silk because I haven't had a chance to play as her, but she seems to be a really cool sequencing puzzle with her tucking cards and using them as boosts and all that. Before Ham and Penny came out, though, Peter Parker was probably my favorite hero to play as in the game, just because I love backflip. Just being able to say no to any amount of damage that's coming in is pretty great.
Yeah.
The being able to draw a card whenever you're attacked is just a very simple but effective way of kind of representing Spider Sense. And then having that card be backflip tends to be really thematic when that happens. But yeah, it's so probably not the most original answer coming out of me, but it's I'd say that's pretty accurate. Which I know I just said 3 different heroes, but Ham and Penny I think are tied for my favorites in the game. Although I also really do like X-23. If we're gonna push the Web Warriors aside, I think X-23 is probably my favorite hero in the game. That is not Web Warrior, just because I really like her play style.
Yeah. She's very, very unique. Yeah, I think Penny and even X-23 actually. I think these are like 2 of the most like universally beloved heroes in terms of like there's like no negative opinions on them. I've never seen anything negative on SPDR, like for sure. Like I feel like her design it's so unique, and I thought I would not like her at all whenever I first saw her kit, because like I love like big Kami, like Peter Parker. She has a hand size of 4 in alter ego, 3 in hero form. I was like, I don't want to play as hero. And then like her economy feels crazy good whenever you like get her stuff out. Yeah, so she is very, very unique.
I had to be very careful with her article because I was like, all right, we're not going to beat around the bush. We're going to point out she's got a tiny, tiny hand size, but it's okay, guys. Don't worry. She can still play the game.
Yeah. For Penny's article, were you able to play her before you actually did the article, or did you write the article kind of like thinking like, oh man, like her hand size kind of stinks?
I didn't get a chance to play her. I knew she was coming before the point where I was going to write the article, because I remember, I think it was during the playtesting for the Guardians wave. I heard whispers that we were going to be getting some Spider-Verse characters, and I was just so stoked. But I never got a chance to play her because the playtesting for that happened after the pandemic happened, gotcha. which totally cut off my access to playtesting for a while because we couldn't meet in person.
Do you have a favorite scenario in the game of Marvel Champions?
Favorite scenario? I have a few that I really like. Magog, I really like, because it's a very unique scenario with the whole trying to get the favor of the crowd, and all that, and so I like the scenarios that mix up the formula a bit, that aren't the standard fare. Of the kind of quote unquote normal scenarios, I have a really big soft spot for Rhino, because I've taught a ton of people how to play the game. I actually ran demos for it at one point in an event that we had before the game came out. I think it was I honestly I don't even remember where the event was, but I was there mostly just to help run demos for some upcoming games, and Marvel Champions was one of them, and I taught a ton of people how to play the game, and because of that, and people were always getting so excited when they were learning how to play it, and I associate Rhino with those
Nice.
moments, and so I always tell people that he's one of my favorites, even if the scenario itself is extremely simple.
Yeah.
It's like you always remember your first game of Marvel Champions sort of thing,
Yeah.
and I was there for a lot of people's first games.
That's really cool. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like, there's so many module sets, like with your, souped up Rhino scenario. Like, you can still make Rhino very, relevant to this day, like, and have him have more unique stuff and more complicated. Yeah, so that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to ask you, what type of player are you? So, like, I would say your two favorite heroes are kind of like different. Well, maybe not your like most favorite ones, but like X-23, she's more of like a doesn't need to build out at all. And SPDR, like Penny Parker, she's like, I really have to build out in order to do anything. So it's like two polar opposites. It sounds like you kind of like just like unique, fun heroes versus like a specific type of way, like a build hero or like a rush hero. Do you feel like you
Mm-hmm.
have a specific way that you prefer to play, like to build out or to rush or like tempo?
Um, I don't know. I don't think I have like a unique. I don't think, or not a unique. I don't think I have a favorite archetype of hero. I would say that it depends on the specific character, how interesting I find them, what sort of unique gimmicks or twists to the usual formula that they have in their kit. Um, I yeah, for me, it's more of a case by case thing. I love games that have big playable casts like Marvel. I mean, this game has what, close to 50 heroes in it now or something like that,
Yeah,
and I think that is about how many it has actually now that I think
I
about
think it's
it.
like
But
55 or something like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, something like that. So there's whatever mood I'm in, there will be a hero that fits that. So
yeah,
I will be able to. And so if you were to ask me that question, on a Monday versus a Friday, I might have a different opinion depending on what mood I'm in. Like, do I feel like playing a giant build out hero that just becomes this unstoppable force? Or do I feel like playing a really adaptable, quick change hero that does a lot of things and then quickly switches over to a different strategy on the next turn? It's like, it really depends. I know that's kind of a non answer, but
no,
I don't think I could give any other answer to
yeah,
that question.
yeah, yeah. No, I feel like you like kind of appreciate the heroes for like who they are, versus like I'm definitely more the player that like tries to mold the hero to like how I want to play, like kind of like configure
Mm-hmm.
them in like a way that maybe they're not even doing what they want to do, but they're doing what I want them to do. And I feel like you kind of
Yeah.
want to embrace that hero and like just let them shine. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, they all have their own strengths and weaknesses, and I like leaning into those.
Yeah, yeah. I forgot to say this earlier, but I feel betrayed that Peter Parker's not your number one. Why is that your logo? You should change it to SPDR or something.
Because my name is Peter.
That's true.
Yeah, and to be fair, he was my favorite hero in the game until other Web Warriors were released.
Yeah, kind of wish SPDR never existed then. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. How do you become a writer for Fantasy Flight Games? Is this like a big passion like do you have for writing?
It's kind of a long story, but I'll give a shortened version of it because I know we're a little limited on time here. But the basically, with I actually started with Asmodee technically as a member of the organized play team back in 2018, and I was just hired on as an organized play coordinator, so just helping out with events. But they not too long after I got started, they put me on the technical writing aspect of the game or of the job, which was mainly writing things like info sheets for the organized play kits, event documents, things like floor rules and stuff like that, and that kind of thing, which I was pretty good at. And then I stuck with that for a while, and then the pandemic happened, and events came to a grinding halt. And so at that point, I was mostly just helping out with anything that I could because there weren't that many event documents to write in a time there had no events. So I started helping out with various little things. One of those things being I was helping Evan Johnson, who was the marketing manager for FFG at the time, write articles for upcoming products. And people noticed that I did a pretty decent job at that. And then Evan left, and so I fully took over that particular side of things. Initially, it was going to be a temporary thing, whereas like until we find a new manager to take over his role, we'll just have you stick with the articles and then put some of his other duties on to other people. But then they really liked what I was doing with it, and so they've decided to instead just officially promote me to marketing writer and be like, okay, this is your job now.
Nice. Yeah, that's how those things always happen.
Yeah, which I'm totally fine with, because I love doing it. It's writing is something that I've always kind of had a thing for, and I apparently do it well enough where they want to keep me at it. So it's a win-win in my book.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. And then I have one more question for you, Peter. It is how much Marvel Champions content do you consume, like on YouTube, on on forums, like on Reddit, Discord, stuff like that? How much of a lurker are you, and how much like do you like engage?
I try to engage with it as much as I can. So especially with like the weekly one shots, like your videos, that kind of started it, where I started looking a little more regularly to see, and I've also watched stuff by Nelson and Villain Theory and D20 Woodworking. Like I've watched videos on all their channels, Daring Lime, like a lot of the content creators that we send spoilers to. I've looked at their channels for a lot of stuff that they do, mainly because I want to see how you guys talk about the game. I want to see, I'll selfishly also want to see how you react to the articles that I write. But it's fun. I have to strike a bit of a balance, because it is still tied to my work. And so, at the end of the day, if I'm relaxing, I don't necessarily want to be reminded to work all the time. So I can't, so I try to limit it to stuff that I can feasibly experience during the day without it eating up too much of my time. Like if I can have a video going on in the background while I'm doing some writing, I oftentimes will do stuff like that. So I tend to lean a little more towards the YouTube side of things rather than forums and social threads, just because those require me to actually be sitting there reading them, which I don't necessarily have time to do when I'm working. But YouTube videos that are discussing or playing the game, like I think every single one of your one-shot videos, I think I had going on in the background while I was working.
Oh, nice. That's a lot of them.
So
nice.
Yeah.
That is so
I wanted to see if you did it each time.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Oh, I actually had one more question that I completely forgot about. So
Okay.
like your role on Discord is this something that you just do like yourself, like or like the Fantasy Flight Games send you like to do this thing where you're like you're kind of like the known guy on Discord, like from Fantasy Flight Games that like kind of talks to everyone there on like the official Marvel Champions Discord. Is that like just of your own free will? Like you're just like, I want to like let the people know, like, hey, by the way, this week there won't be article, or like there will be something this week, or like, yeah, is that like just you trying to be involved, or is this like a specific role for you, like in your job like description?
It was a bit of both in a way. So there was a period of delay at one point where we had kind of a no news stretch between when Rogue and Gambit were announced and when we revealed Next Evolution. And that's when a lot of worry was happening in the community, which was a bummer, and we didn't want that. We didn't want people to be worrying and thinking that the game was dead or anything like that. But it was still too early for us to reveal anything for Next Evolution, because there was that gap, we've already talked about it in streams and other things. That largely was because there were some shifts going on with Michael Boggs leaving and Tony being brought into the line. The pandemic obviously slowed everything down, which would have been around the time that the development for those waves was happening. So it's not like there wasn't there was a lot of legitimate reasons for why we had that gap, but we couldn't necessarily talk about all of them at the time yet. So I proposed, like, hey, we've done stuff like this in the past before with other game lines and with designers, hanging out in Discord servers and things for other games. Why don't I just hop in and just, as myself and just like reassure people like, hey, don't worry, the game's not dead, it's not going anywhere, just be patient. And I got the okay to do that, and so I did.
Yeah.
And it was and it's just kind of stuck it out at that point. I developed a bit of rapport with the folks on the Discord server, and I mean, they seem to like having me around.
Yeah, they absolutely love having you around. And I think that it's really helpful for the community because I think that a lot of people don't consider that you guys aren't allowed to like divulge like certain information at like certain times if like you're just not able to.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that you still go on and just kind of want to reassure everyone that like, hey, like this is going on. I can't like exactly say what it is, but like just don't worry, like this is all gonna be okay here. I know like a few weeks ago for the Silk article, I don't know why we like everyone thought the Silk article was gonna be dropped on like a specific day. And then, as a content creator, I know that I was like waiting up, like, refreshing every like few minutes to see it. And I'm not like, that big on Discord, so I didn't see it. But I saw like much later that you actually went on Discord and you told everyone, hey, like, I'm sorry, but the Silk article will not be like on today. Like, that's so nice. Like, I wish I saw that so I would have stopped like refreshing, right? But like, I feel that's really good, like, to just give the information that like, hey, like, this won't be happening here. And, I've seen you say stuff like, I wish we could get the game out to you guys, sooner. And I know that it's a hard balance to like try to appease people sometimes whenever they can't be appeased, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's part of the deal, because we're the marketing team for a game studio that is owned by a bigger company. There's a lot of different layers. It's not like my team has full control over everything we can and can't say, because we have to get that, we have to get the thumbs up from all the people above us if we want to say anything beyond the usual announcing a new product or anything like that, because everything's got to be coordinated, which makes sense because you don't want one person to say one thing and another person to say another thing and to have those two things not mesh. So, but it does make it a very delicate dance, and that delicate dance is not something that can be done quickly, which is, and that's also part of the issue is the world moves faster than we can talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's all I have for you, Peter. Thank you so much. I appreciate it so much. Thanks for coming on.
And I have one more thing for you.
Oh,
Because I meant to bring it up earlier while we were talking about the Silk Hero Pack's contents, but I believe there is a particular speculation people were having on how Peter Parker would be involved in her pack, in her deck.
right. I completely forgot that we
Right.
talked about that. Yeah. So, there's a team up card. I forgot the name of it, but it's an alter ego team up for Peter Parker.
Investigative journalism.
Yes, because both Silk and Peter Parker are journalists. So
Mm-hmm.
I was speculating that we got to have a Peter Parker like ally, identity-specific ally for Silk's kit, but a lot of people aren't convinced. And you said you could actually tell us the.
Yeah. So she does not have an identity specific ally.
Okay.
But she does have Peter Parker in her deck. Specifically, the basic Web Warrior ally Peter Parker is getting reprinted in her
Oh,
deck.
snap. Okay, that is really cool news. Okay, that is awesome. I think people will be
So,
very excited for that because Sinister Motives is out of print, I think. Or a lot of people are having difficulty getting Sinister Motives, at
yeah.
least. And sorry, it's not out of print. I think it was just like not in stock currently.
Yeah, I think it's out of stock right now. I don't know if it's out of print or not. That'd be a question for the Asmodee
Okay.
distribution side of things.
Gotcha. That is really cool. I'm sure people will love that news because that is like one of the best allies in the game, Marvel Champions, and getting a reprint of
Mhm.
that in a web warrior. Because a lot of people were a little bit worried about not being able to play Silk with like the web warrior package, but knowing that she has that amazing Peter Parker ally in her kit, it's gonna be really nice. Yeah. I have one more question to follow up on that actually. Um, that Alter Ego team up card, can it be played with that Spider-Man Peter Parker ally in played? Like, does it need to be an
Mhm.
Alter Ego Peter?
So Silk needs to be, or Cindy Moon needs to be an alter ego. But so long as you've got a card on the table that says Peter Parker on it, that meets the requirement for that team up.
Awesome. You guys have it confirmed here. We can play with just that ally and Cindy Moon and Alter Ego. We can play the journalism Alter Ego team up card. Awesome.
Yeah, they wouldn't release a card that you couldn't play with just Silk by herself.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so that's kind of like a secret next time we see a team up card like that. We know we either get a identity specific ally or like a basic ally then in the pre-con deck.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were kind of speculating along those lines, but generally speaking, we're not gonna. This sounds very corporate to say it, but we're not gonna sell you anything you can't use.
Yeah.
And he works really well with Silk because the stat boost that she can get from having cards tucked under her with cards like her Spider Claws and all that.
Yeah, so she can defend, get that defensive stat boost, and then Peter can ready her up, and she can attack and get the claw for the attack stat boost. Yeah,
Exactly.
awesome. Thank you for confirming that for us. I completely forgot. We talked about it earlier about revealing that here, but yeah, I'm a terrible host. But thanks so much,
Oh,
Peter.
that's all right. I had it in the back of my head. Wanted to make sure we got it
Yes,
out there.
yes. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was an honor having you on. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for
Yeah.
bringing the cards along too. That's crazy.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me. It was great.
I will post the links to the Deadpool and the Spider-Ham articles for you guys to see that Peter wrote. So yeah, you guys can check out like his articles there, and Fantasy Flight Games, like all the links and all that stuff too. Yeah.
Could link the Silk article too, since we're going to be spoiling extra cards for that in
Okay.
your in this interview.
Yes, I'm be linking the Silk article too. Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds good.
All right. See you guys later.
All right. Take care.